Sometimes, even with the best will in the world, even though you have been trying really hard to really study those standards and get the right evidence, sometimes it just feels like it just is not coming together. Maybe you are making one of three really obvious mistakes. Mistakes that today I want to share with you so we can move them out of the way and get you on your way to career progression success.
Hi, I'm Selena Woodward and I'm an English and drama teacher, university lecturer, and with edufolios.org, a big-time reflective practitioner. So how can reflective practice help you grow your teaching skills, fall in love with your profession all over again, and help you nail accreditation and teacher registration with less stress and less work? Well, this is the Reflective Teacher Podcast.
Hi there and welcome to the Reflective Teacher Podcast. As always, I am your host, accreditation coach, Selena Woodward. Now, before we get into today's episode, I want to take a moment to say a big thank you. Thank you to every single person who has been listening to the Reflective Teacher Podcast. We have actually hit 39,000. That's 39,000 downloads of the Reflective Teacher Podcast with Selena Woodward this week. And that is amazing. 39,000? Wow, thank you so much for your faith in me, in listening. I'm so pleased that it's bringing value to you, that you're coming back, that you are sharing this podcast with your colleagues and your mates, and that it's helping you, that it's having an impact on you. Thank you, 39,000 times. Thank you very much. I hope that you continue to subscribe to the podcast. Now, the reason that I know that this number is going up, and it's going up quickly at the moment, is because I'm running my webinars. So every few days, I've been logging into my podcasting platform and updating the number on my PowerPoint slides for the webinar. And we've actually had over 1,000 downloads in the last 7 days, which is a real milestone for us. So again, thank you so much. And I really would love to know what your favorite episode of the Reflective Teacher Podcast is. Make sure you comment below this video if you're watching it on YouTube, or DM us in the socials, because I always want to find out which episode made the biggest difference to you and to your practice. Now, obviously, I've been running the 3 sneaky secrets that help make evidence gathering easier, faster, and more powerful over the last week and a half. The last webinar that I will be running is actually on this coming Saturday, which I believe is the 9th of April at 10 a.m. Adelaide time. So if you haven't already got your seat, your ticket for that absolutely free professional development with me, I want to personally invite you to go and do that right now. Well, obviously not if you're driving, you pull over first, but go to edufolios.org/webinar. And from there, you can select Saturday's date. It's the last one. And join me for a live webinar where we're going to talk about these secrets. But it's also a wonderful opportunity for me to meet you. I would love to connect with you live in that space and to answer any questions that you have about accreditation, about the webinar and the information. That's your opportunity to come talk to me live and let's get to know each other. So that's edufolios.org/webinar to come join me on Saturday, completely free. And the great thing is, if you can't make it at 10 a.m. on Saturday, sign up anyway, because you will be sent a replay. Everyone will. And you have access to that replay for 2 whole weeks. So you've got plenty of time to take in that wonderful hour of free PD, then go and reflect on it and keep coming back to me with your questions. So I want to invite you to do that. edufolios.org, that's edufolios.org/WEBINAR webinar. I'd love to see you there. I really would. Now, in these webinars, something that's been coming up is this idea of some of the mistakes that people are making that are costing them passing their accreditation portfolio, but are costing them valuable time and energy and are costing them, as a result, their confidence and their happiness. We don't want that. As we've been going through the 3 sneaky secrets, we're talking about what happens if you don't follow these sneaky secrets. So I thought in today's podcast episode, we could have a chat about the 3 biggest mistakes that educators make when they approach teacher accreditation and how you could start to avoid them. I want you to avoid these mistakes. The first mistake that people make is talking about the wrong thing. And by that, I mean, yes, they've got the standards document, and yes, they're ticking off all the focus areas, and it feels pretty stressful, but they feel like they're making progress, but they've misunderstood one very important element. And that is they have forgotten to notice who they should be talking about. Because you see, if you choose to talk about you and what you did against the standards, unless you're a graduate where that is required at times, you will not pass. Because it's really important, as we discuss in the webinar, that you understand how the career stages in those AITSL teacher standards work. Who it is that you should be having an impact on. Who is it that is the hero of your story? So the first mistake people make is they talk about the wrong hero. And this often comes from the narrative that the graduate standards are for uni students, proficient standards are for early career teachers, and HALT is for unicorns, magical unicorns, who are amazing, superhuman, powerful educators, and who have been teaching for at least 5 years, maybe 20. And all of that, my friends, is wrong. And it's a big mistake. It costs you time because you're writing about the wrong things. And of course, it's going to be really difficult to find evidence if you're not focusing on the right hero of your story. We talk about that a lot in the webinar. The second thing is maybe you've understood the hero of your story, but what you haven't done is understand that it's all about impact. Now, if you listen to this podcast, then you will definitely know that because I go on and on about it. But it is so obviously one of the things that goes wrong. If you're in a forum saying, hey, what evidence have you got for standard 4.2? Yes, you're going to get some suggestions that might guide you, but you're also starting with 4.2. You're not starting with the hero and the difference that you've made to that hero. And that is the key to success. Who is it that I'm impacting and what impact have I had? And that is the case at all career stages. You are not here to tell the story of the standards and what you did to prove them. In your evidence, you need to tell the story of the impact that something has had on someone. So 1, you need to know who that someone is, and 2, you need to know what that impact is. And the third mistake that happens all the time is that when you went into this portfolio business, when you started to reflect on your practice, you didn't actually plan to measure impact. Now, I find that really interesting because for me, philosophically, a lesson plan is a plan based on where my kids were at, where I want them to be, and where they're at now, and how I'm going to get them there. It's a journey from A, B, C, where they were, where they are, where they're going. That's what planning is. That's what impact is. How did I get you from here to here? What choices did I make along the way? If you're not planning to make that, each step of that visible, really be clear about the impact that's been happening there, you end up in a scenario like this, particularly at HA, see if this resonates, where you ran a great PD session, but you didn't ask anyone for any feedback. And because you've now realized that at HA, it's about impact on colleagues, you start scrambling, looking for emails to say that PD was great. And that's not really strong evidence. There's another way. There's a way at every career stage to plan, to see, understand, measure, and develop your impact in every level depending on who it is you're impacting. Okay? And when you learn how to do that, the evidence of impact comes out naturally. It naturally connects back to the standards, and it naturally talks about the right person. And in short, it just gets way easier. And there's none of those awkward conversations around, oh, you know that PD I did last year or in 2022, 2021? Do you remember that? Could you just write me an email that said that was awesome? That's not enough impact. You're going to need to talk about all sorts of other things to frame the impact. You're going to need context for that impact, and you're going to need actions, and you're going to need to explain why you took those actions. So being proactive and planning how you're going to see and measure your impact is really important, and not doing that is a big mistake. One, because you've now got to go backwards, and that's really stressful, and you didn't really have the measurement of where they were before, so how are you going to get that? And two, because you weren't doing it in a way where you were really focused on who you were measuring the impact on and how you were going to do that. So you've now got to scramble for a quality artifact without really knowing what artifacts would have been great, would have shown up at each of the stages of that development and would have been the most powerful. So then you get really stressed about artifacts. Does this ring a bell? Is this you? You're going, oh God, yeah, that's me right now. Holy moly. And it's really hard, isn't it? It gets really, really hard if we're doing it retrospectively. You know, like, oh, I want to talk about something that happened 2 years ago. But these mistakes, they cost hours of your time. They cost a lot of stress. They're an extra stressor that you're putting on yourself, and they are totally unnecessary. So come along to the webinar to learn a little bit more about that. edufolios.org/webinar. Last one on the 9th coming up this weekend, because we're going to talk about all of this in a lot more detail. And if you are already aware of, you've been to the webinar, I'm talking to you, you fabulous human, then you know, and you should all have received an email, all of the subscribers will have been invited to join the Evidence Engine for the April cohort. The Evidence Engine's doors are currently open, and I can tell you there is a module, a whole module dedicated to these 3 issues and giving you everything you need to overcome them. So if you would like to join, I've got my notes down here. Sophie, hey, Kelly, Christina, Debbie, Kathy, Matt, and more people who are walking through the door and begin that learning journey with us in a couple of weeks or in a week's time, then head to edufolios.org/yes, and you'll get access to, I think it's module 4, where we talk about all of these things in a lot of detail. I give you lesson activities that you can take into your classroom, that you can use every 20 minutes of a lesson to snapshot where your kids are at, where have they gone, where are they at now, so that the impact is incredibly visible and really easy to talk about. I give you those resources. I also give you a blueprint, an impact blueprint, which gives you every single step you need to make to plan to measure impact, to make it just happen naturally with so much ease, it's ridiculous. And actually, it also has an amazing impact on the kids in your classroom, on the colleagues that you're working with, because you bring them on the journey too. You make it really explicit, and everyone is growing together. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, that blueprint. I'm talking about checklists that I give you that help you to connect whether or not you've got the right focus area, to plan which artifacts you need, literally smashing every single one of those problems I just described straight out of the water. Module 4 is actually one of my favorite modules. So if you are keen to avoid those 3 mistakes, of course, come along to the webinar if you haven't done so already. That's edufolios.org/webinar. If you've been to the webinar and you're ready to dive in, you've been listening to the podcast for a while, I would love to right now personally invite you, my friend, to come and join me and all these wonderful educators who are just like you, who see you, who hear you, who understand what you're going through right now in the Evidence Engine. When you get there, you're going to get access to your exclusive Facebook group. You're going to get access to a bunch of amazing bonuses, some of which have never been seen before in the evidence engine. So go and check them out. And of course, you will get access to me. I will be your coach. I will show up every single week of the course and hold your hand and coach you through this process and far more. If that sounds like where you're at, if you are ready to be supported, you are ready to move forward with this, then head to edufolios.org/yes. That's edufolios.org/YES. And go check out that page. There's a beautiful video at the top of a few of the students from the last cohort. So proud of them, always am. It's a video where they talk about what they've achieved, what they've taken from the evidence engine. Oh, it's amazing. And I would love for you to be in the next video at the top of that website, sharing your success and feeling really good about the evidence process, avoiding these 3 mistakes that I've mentioned, and absolutely nailing it, because you will know who it is you're supposed to be impacting at every career stage. You will know the hero of your story. You will know how to plan to show impact, and it will just be coming at you second nature. You will know exactly what to do. So come along to the webinar, edufolios.org/webinar on Saturday. Come and ask me about all of these things. I really hope to see you then. Take care. That's it for this week on the Reflective Teacher Podcast.